We're focusing on the moss stitch today. This is lesson 6 in How to Knit for Complete Beginners. Lesson 6 is the moss stitch, and this beautiful knit and purl stitch is reversible. We'll talk more about that in a moment. It is a 4-row repeat, and I have a little bit more background on it as you watch the video. We do have 4 patterns in one where we're working with 2 different weights of yarn and needles, and then you have a border or an all-over moss stitch pattern. I do have notes if you do want to make it into a blanket as far as working repeats and how to strategically bind off so that it continues the pattern and it doesn't start to look like some other pattern. All that today in How to Knit Moss Stitch for Beginners. Welcome to Good Knit Kisses. We're all about helping you stitch your love and love your stitches. The American or Irish moss stitch is a beautiful stitch pattern with a 4-row repeat working with an even number of stitches. It's reversible, working with knits and purls, and the seat stitch that you've learned in our previous video is a more delicate version of this, and this one, the moss stitch, has more of a texture effect to it. It gives a little bit more depth to it, and it looks a little bit stronger, but it has the same flexibility. Here's the smaller needle with the smaller yarn here. There's also a double moss stitch that you can do as well. So if you are from Britain and you notice the terminology difference, this one that we call the seed in America is called the British moss stitch. And if you want a video on that, you can go click down in the link below. But for our terms, we're Americans, so we're going to say this is the moss stitch here, and which Americans and Irish call this the moss stitch. All right, let's jump into how you do it. So you need to cast on an even number of stitches. And we do have a tutorial at the end of this video that will be for making these washcloth patterns in the 2 different weights of yarn. So stay tuned for that and reading that pattern. So once you cast on your even number of stitches, we're going to start off by knitting 1. This is row 1, knit 1, and then purl 1. And repeat, knit 1, purl 1. Okay, so you're just going to repeat to the end of your row. Go ahead and slow down your video if you need to, or pause. We do have timestamps to jump to the right part of the video, so if you need that, they're down in the description below. And then if you need the first or second lesson for slower videos on knits and purls, be sure and click down in the link below, or the description below for that link. All right, we're going to turn it over, and on the wrong side, we are going to work row 2. And you'll notice that because you had a purl that you ended with, you're going to begin with a knit. We're going to knit that stitch here. So we're going to knit 1 and purl 1. Row 2 is just a repeat of row 1. Go ahead and work row 2. Pause your video as you need. I don't expect you to be this fast as a beginner. I'm just hurrying it along. But you can watch it slower in the tutorial that we'll do here in a moment. Okay. All right, so now we're on row 3. And row 3 and 4 are going to repeat what we did just these last 2 rows, except we're shifting them. So you're starting with the opposite stitch. We're going to purl 1 and then knit 1. Purl 1 and knit 1. And you can see it's jogging over like that. Okay, so you just continue repeating that across, and when you get to the wrong side, you'll repeat row 4 just as row 3. And ending with purl 1 and knit 1. Turn that over, row 4, you're going to purl 1. So you're just repeating. Make sure that you have 2 of each stitch on top of each other when you turn. You can just start reading your knitting and seeing if you're on pattern or not. So if you only see 1 purl bump and not 1 below it, then you need to double up on your purl, or the same thing for knit. If you only see 1 knit stitch, you need to have a knit on top of that. And that's the way to tell where you are in the pattern. Now I want to put this part of the tutorial in the very beginning of this video before we do the stitch along for the washcloths. The tip I have for you is when you're ready to bind off, you're going to be binding off in pattern, but I would suggest that you stop after you've completed a row 3, and you're going to bind off in pattern on row 4. And what that will do is it will give you a nice, let's do this one. This one right here, you can see I've done with a border, and it will nicely finish it off looking like you completed a row 4 because you do it in pattern. If you work your row 4 and then you bind off, you're going to have this extra little kind of blip, and it will look a little bit different. It will either jog that pattern over, or if you decide to line it up with this one, then it'll look like you have a strange rib stitch at the end. So my suggestion is stop 1 row short and then bind off at that moment. All right, so if you'll pause your video, we're going to look at doing the tutorial for working borders and making a washcloth. To get this pattern, click on the description below to open up the link in our blog for the free pattern, or if you'd like an ad-free version, we do have links for Ravelry and Etsy stores as well, so you can get that. Now this week I am going to go right past the supplies and some of the basics of reading a pattern, because we covered that in our previous lesson. So if you want a more thorough lesson in that, go click on the video description below for our previous lesson on the seed stitch. Now we have been building each week in our learning, and so I want to jump over to the abbreviations part of this pattern to show you what you're going to be learning. And let's go right over there. This pattern is set up just the same way as the previous week, but we're just turning it into the moss stitch for you. We'll go to abbreviations. Now we've added in place marker, which is PM, and slip marker, which is SM. We're also adding in some ways to read the rows when they repeat a certain way or when they have parentheses involved. So let's jump over to the moss border washcloth pattern. We do have the all over moss washcloth as well, but this one with the border has a special way of repeating. So let's go over to the next page. After we've got the cast on and our super bulky washcloth, we have rows 5 through 8, and that involves the changing of how you see the stitches in this pattern. So you can see on row 5 we have right side where we begin, and we have knit 1, purl 1. Now when you see the parentheses here, it says twice. That means to repeat the instructions you saw just previous to that, however many times total that you see it. So this doesn't mean do this 2 more times, it just means do this a total of 2 times, so twice. And then PM is place marker, and then we're going to knit until 4 stitches remain, and then you're going to place the marker, and a second one, and then you're going to knit 1, purl 1 twice, so knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and that covers those 4 stitches. Now on row 6 you're going to be slipping that marker, just moving it over, so we replace PM with SM. So on row 6, you begin the same as you did 5, and it's knit 1, purl 1 twice. So you knit 1, purl 1 again. Then you slip your marker, but the difference is on this row, you purl to the marker, and then slip your marker, and then we repeat again, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. Now on rows 7 and 8, we're going to start with a purl 1, knit 1, repeat that again. So that's that twice command, knit, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, well, not command, instruction, and then slip your marker, and then here we're going to knit to marker, because you are going to knit the field or the right side of your sample. So the middle part is going to have this knitting in the middle of the field, okay? And then you slip your marker and then do the purl 1, knit 1 twice. Then row 8 starts the same as row 7, but the middle part is going to be purl to marker, and that's it. You just repeat that section. Now the difference is when we get to the medium weight washcloth, there's a little bit more involved to that. So let's jump on over there, and this is a different way to read this. So the medium weight washcloth involves more stitches. So we have a duplicate number of this purl one, knit one, do it twice, or knit one, purl one, and then do it twice, because you're repeating it over 8 stitches instead of 4. So another way to say that, and we've got right side, knit one, purl one twice, and then we repeat from that asterisk one more time. So we're actually working with 8 stitches right here. Then we place a marker and knit until 8 stitches remain, and then place another marker and then knit one, purl one twice, repeating from the asterisk one more time. So you've got 8 stitches on either side of that border. And then rows 6 through 8 are similarly written to how we had before in the bulkier one, where you've got knit one, purl one twice, and then we repeat to the asterisk, so that gets those extra 4 stitches. Then you slip your marker, purl to the marker because we're on the wrong side, slip your marker, and then work that same border as the beginning of the row. And then rows 7 and 8, of course, we offset that and do a purl stitch to begin. So you're going to be repeating rows 5 through 8 until your knitting measures 5.5 inches and you're ending on a wrong side row. And that's a row 8. So after you've completed a row 8, and then I just have a note about place marker only the first time on row 5. So when you're repeating these, obviously you're not going to be repeating, adding more stitch markers in. So that's just a that note won't always be there when you read someone else's pattern. I just did that so you would know you're definitely not going to be adding in extra stitch markers. Okay, so then you're going to have on the bulkier one, you're only going to have to work rows 9 through 11, and you see this extra row here on the one with the smaller needles because I need a bit more length. So you work the same as the beginning part of this pattern, the same border, and then you need to repeat rows 9 through 11 only one more time, because that last row you're going to knit on the or bind off on the wrong side a row 4 in pattern as a row 4. That way it completely lines up and it doesn't look like you end with starting a new stitch pattern. So that's how that ends. All right, so let's jump over to knitting this. I'm going to show my tutorial mostly the super bulky 6-weight yarn with the US 15 needles. We're going to pull out 3 times the width of our project, which is about 7 inches plus a tail. So 1, 2, 3. You can put on your slip knot like that, or you can do it without a slip knot and just put it right on your needle. Either way, put the tail part towards you, the ball part at the back, and we're going to long tail cast on. So we're going to grab the yarn, split it, pull back like a slingshot, go up at the thumb, down at the finger, down at the thumb, and let it go. Okay, make sure it's not too tight. All right, so grab that again, split, scoop up at the thumb, down at the finger, down at the thumb, let it go, and again, up at the thumb, down at the finger, down at the thumb, let it go. Again, there's slower tutorials down links below. All right, so we're going to continue casting on 16 stitches for the larger needle and 32 stitches for the smaller one. All right, pause your video and I will see you in a moment for row 1. Row 1, we're going to knit 1, purl 1. Okay, again, knit, put our yarn in the back, go into that first leg of the stitch, yarn over, and pull the stitch through. Yarn to the front for purl, put the needle in the front of the stitch, yarn over, and push that through. Okay, yarn to the back and knit 1, yarn to the front and purl 1. Make sure you're putting your yarn to the back after you purl. All right, continue that. Pause your video. I'll meet you for row 2. See you in a moment. Row 2, you're repeating the same as row 1. You're going to knit 1, purl 1, all the way across to the end of your row. All right, so continue on. Pause your video. I will meet you on row 3. See you soon. Row 3, you can see we've already got our, it looks like ribbing started, but now we need to work on our purl 1, knit 1 to shift it over. So go in the front and you're going to purl 1 and knit 1 and repeat across, purl 1 and knit 1. All right, go ahead and finish row 3, pause video, and I'll see you for row 4. Row 4, you can see how our pattern has shifted over. You see what starts to look like a seed stitch right here, except you need to go ahead and double up on your purls and your knits on top of each other. So this is where you're repeating just like you did before, where you're going to purl first and knit 1. Okay, so purl 1, knit 1. And once you have this pattern established, you can see how your knitting will line up. So when you have your borders, the first the first 4 stitches and the last 4 stitches are going to line up with the same pattern that you establish on the beginning border. Okay, so I just want to work across here so you can see it, and then we're going to talk about what happens if you were working with the smaller needles. So you can do this as well and make a blanket with this pattern. You can use the same number of stitches that I've done for borders, and then you just make sure you have an even number of stitches across so that you can, or a multiple of 4, so you can have 4 at the beginning and 4 at the end, and then you'll have the field in the middle. Okay, so let me do the last couple of stitches here. Purl 1, knit 1. All right, so that's nice and established. If you are working on this one, you're going to need to repeat rows 1 through 4 to make this beginning part of the border so it looks nice and thick, because you're going to need 8 stitches on either side to make this border. Okay, so yours is going to look like this one here. So if you're working on the bulky one. All right, so go ahead and repeat rows 1 through 4 if you were working on the smaller needles, and pause your video. I'll meet you back up for row 5. See you in a moment. All right, row 5, you're going to begin your stitch pattern again with a knit 1 and a purl 1, and then repeat that again. So you're doing that twice, knit 1, purl 1. And on the bulkier washcloth, this is where you're going to place your stitch marker, okay? And if you're working with a smaller one, you're going to repeat those 4 stitches again and then place your stitch marker. And you're beginning at this point here. Okay, so you're going to work all the way across right now. Put your yarn to the back and knit across until 4 stitches remain for the bulky or 8 stitches remain for the medium weight. Pause your video as you need. Okay, so I have 4 stitches remaining on my bulky. Place that marker. Then we go ahead and knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and the medium weight one will have 4 more stitches that you need to repeat that. Okay, so finish row 5, pause your video, I'll meet you back for row 6. All right, row 6, we're going to be working on this reverse stockinette part where we have purls all on the back. But you are going to repeat those first 4 stitches like you did on the last row. So row 6 is knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and if you're on the medium, repeat those 4 stitches again, and then you're going to slip your stitch marker, so you're just moving it over like that. Put your yarn to the front, or keep your yarn in the front, and you're going to purl across until your marker. So now you're not having to count any stitches at all, and that marker is a nice visual place to stop. This is especially great when you're working on, say, a blanket. You know, you don't have to count anything. The stitch marker is just going to stop you, and then you know you need to finish out your border. So now I'm at my border. I need to put my yarn to the back because I'm starting with a knit stitch, slip that marker over, go ahead and knit one, and purl one, knit one, and purl one to the very end. All right, there we go. Pause your video. I'll meet you back up for row 7. See you soon. Once you get to row 7, you can start seeing your right side is easily identifiable because you've got all your knit stitches down here. It's just going to continue that way, looking like the sample over here or this one back here. Okay, so you're just going to go on row 7 and purl 1, knit 1. Oops, I had lost that before, so I turn it around. Okay, here we go. Now we're set up right. We're going to purl 1, knit 1 to our stitch marker, slide the stitch marker, and then knit to the stitch marker, slide the stitch marker. Again, pause your video. I know you're not this fast. This is just to show you how to do it. Make sure and put your yarn forward, and we're going to purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 to the end. Okay. Pause your video. I will see you for row 8. All right, row 8, we're on the wrong side, and we're going to double up what we did before. So we are going to purl 1, knit 1, get it to our stitch marker. So purl 1, knit 1, repeated, knit 1, slide our stitch marker or slip the stitch marker, and we're going to put a yarn forward and purl to the stitch marker. And I think you've got the gist of this. Just purl to the stitch marker and then repeat again, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Go ahead and pause your video and work on yours. Okay, you're going to repeat rows 5 through 8 until you reach your desired length. Of course, if you want to work on a blanket, you work on it to wherever you want, but this is how we're going to finish these borders for these washcloths. So here's a sample that I have worked, and it's going to look like this, and we want to repeat this border here. So I'm working for the super bulky weight until my knitting measures 5 inches from here to here, because this is the right amount of width to allow for this top portion. Now, if you remember from the beginning, I said that we're only going to work 3 rows of this 4-row repeat in order to bind off in pattern so it works well. But if you're working with the smaller one, you actually will be working a 4-row repeat and then working 3 more rows. So there's also, if you're working on the all over, you're going to work to a different length. So basically on the all over, you're going to work until 1 row before you need to bind off. So you're going to work until you complete a row 3. Go ahead and work on yours until you get to that right length. For the bulky weight, it is working until you measure 5 inches with your tape measure, which is, let's see, that is 13 centimeters. And if you were working with this one, the medium weight, it's going to go until about 5.5 inches, which is 14 centimeters. And if you're working with this one, with the all over, you're going to work until about 6.5 inches on the medium or 5.5 inches on this one as well on the bulky. So now that you have those notes, go ahead and repeat those rows. Pause your video and I'll meet you back. Row 9 we just completed. We're on row 10. We're going to knit 1 and purl 1, repeating across. Again, these are just like rows 1 and 2 from the very beginning. All right, pause your video. I'll meet you back for row 11. See you soon. This is what it looks like before we start row 11. And now you're going to do the opposite, where you are purling 1, knitting 1 across. And row 11 and 12 are the same. So if you're working on the medium weight washcloth, you will have a row 12, Okay, so if you've got this one here, you're going to repeat row 11 for row 12. Then you're going to repeat rows 9 through 11 before we get to this next part, which is binding off. So if you're working on the medium weight, you need to have rows 9 through 12 and then 9 through 11 repeated. All right, so go ahead and work on that. Finish out your row and pause your video. I'll meet you back up for the bind off. See you soon. All right, so we are on the row for binding off, and you should be on a wrong side row. So this one here is ready to go. Looks like you have not quite completed where you've doubled up on your knits and purls, but that's okay because we're going to start off by binding off in pattern, which is do whatever stitch is next, which is purl 1 here. And begin to read your knitting. So we're seeing the knit stitch, so we're knitting 1. And then we bind off, lifting that first stitch up and over the second. Put our yarn forward, and we're going to purl 1. And put our yarn to the back, and you can lift that first stitch up and over the second. And then knit 1. And lift that first stitch up and over. And continue going across, working that. And so as you see, let's lift this over and I'll show you. It looks like we have continued in doubling up our knit stitches and doubling up our purl stitches as we go across, which will finish this out on the correct side where it looks just right. All right, so continue working those and finish off your last 2 stitches. We'll do that together. See you in a moment. Okay, we are on our last 2 stitches and want to knit this last one and knit over. And we're going to pull through and cut our yarn all the way through. And then you just weave in your tails, and that's what it looks like here. And then of course you have those repeated rows on the other. Now I want to show you, if you have a problem and you think, oh, this looks a little wrong, look at this one here. Okay, so this sample I wanted to show you. If you stop short and don't do those last 3 rows, or say you do the last 4 rows and don't stop before the 4th and then you bind off. So do you see how this looks a little bit elongated here? So this looks like almost like ribbing at the end. And then these are nice and consistent and shorter. That's because I went ahead and did a row 4 and then I did my bind off, and I bound it off on the right side. So if you notice, like my tails are on this side here, which is normally my right side row. So if you notice you're on a right side row and you're binding off on the wrong row. So even if you stop short and you don't know if you're on a row 4 or a row 2, you can stop on either one of those rows. It's just that you need to bind off on the wrong side so that you don't get this really long look, okay, like ribbing. All right, that's really the main last point and tip. So once you've completed yours, you're going to weave in your tails, and I have that video down below on weaving your tails. Really, it's in seed stitch, but it's basically the same as moss. You're just going to be weaving around and duplicating the stitches that are on one side, and following that yarn around in the way that it moves so that it hides your tails really well. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning about the moss stitch, whether you did it with a border or without. I'd love to see your work on Instagram. Just tag me at GoodKnitKisses and I'll go see it. Thank you again for joining me at GoodKnitKisses. Join me for our next lesson where we talk about the basket weave stitch. All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us today, where we help you stitch your love and love your stitches. See you again soon.